we're back. This is John.
And it's Eric.
Yeah, it's What If Geeks, and it's just me and Eric today. We're Paulless and Rayless. I don't know, I'm sure there's some other joke in there we can make eventually, but I can't. We're half down. We're 50% of the crew. They had to work or whatever. I'm not sure who's doing what tonight. I think Ray's working, definitely. I think Paul's out of town, so probably still working, but whatever.
Gasp. Out of town working.
Uh-oh. We're about to get into that. So, today is, happy St. Patrick's Day.
Hey.
Salante.
St. Patty's Day. All right.
Ta-da. Yep, it is St. Patrick's Day. It's the 17th of March, 2020. It's going to be kind of a quiet St. Patrick's Day, I guess, for some people, because everything's shut the fuck down.
For everybly. You saw the governor ordered all the bars to close.
Yeah. So
Today,
welcome to the
days.
world of the pandemic. I know everyone knows what we're talking about. It's coronavirus, COVID-19. So we're going to jump into that today because, we get bored and we want to talk about something other than just superheroes. But because we're geeks, we're going to put our own geek spin on it, and we love movies, so we're going to also throw in some shit from random pandemic, end-of-the-world type movies, and
Indeed.
And we'll see what holds true and what's bullshit, and, whatever.
And answer our own lingering questions.
Yeah. Like why you never see Daryl running around The Walking Dead with a roll of toilet paper.
And somehow they haven't found a single house that's loaded with it, even
Right.
though there are thousands of them here.
Right? Everybody's house is loaded with toilet paper now. Or, well, at least most of them. The other ones are complaining on Facebook that they don't have anything to wipe with. All right, we're going to get into all that. All right, so what do you say we do what we normally do, and you typed up a nice little set list on some history behind what we're talking about today.
Yeah.
Let's run through some of this timeline.
I think I'll try to blow through it fairly quick, but I thought it's entertaining just because this reads like the opening script for a pandemic movie.
It does.
Actually quite amusing
And a little scary.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I meant amusing in the ironic.
Yes. Yeah.
Just how close it is. I think there's one movie we could probably talk about a lot on this episode. It's going to be Contagion because there's so many similarities. But anyway, so let's start with this. So this kicked off somewhere late December in Wuhan, China, right?
Yep.
And they traced it back to the wet markets, and most likely came from an animal. I think they said they thought it went from bats to pangolins, which are these endangered species that are trafficked in China for their meat and scales.
Yeah.
And so eating them, oddly enough, doesn't give you the virus. The virus can't survive in your stomach. You need to inhale it or get it in your airways.
Right.
So most likely it transferred to somebody. Not that was buying something out of the wet market per se, but probably somebody that was prepping it.
Yeah.
Prepping the animal, shaving the scales off, whatever, and inhaled the...
Yeah. And for those, I guess, that don't know, the wet markets are, like, you see them in movies sometimes when people go over to the Far East and they've got cage upon cage of animals just on top of each other, kind of crapping all over each other, and they're there for food or whatever. And that's for real over there.
Yeah. So... I guess so. That kicked off in Wuhan. The first reported infection, although I think people have said it maybe started a few days prior, was December 31st, the last day of the year. And then, from
2020 literally said, "Hold my beer."
Yeah.
That's why they haven't changed the name.
So, just like they do in the Contagion movie, they're looking at existing viruses. It's not SARS, it's not MERS, it's not H1N1. This isn't a strain of seasonal flu, right? They have no idea what it is. It takes them 9 days to January 9th to do the first genome sequence. And, based on something I read today, I'm not really sure exactly how this works, but maybe they got like a partial genome because they said in a CDC report I was reading, they were talking about how they've been able to grow it successfully in a lab, and that's allowed them to do further gene sequencing. I really don't know. Maybe the first one was only partial, or maybe they just needed to do their own and they couldn't trust what China sent over. I don't know. But anyway,
we'll get into a conspiracy theory about that later. Yeah.
So there, several pharmaceutical companies.
They were able to replicate it. No, you created the fucker. We'll get into it.
So there were several pharmaceutical companies that announced at that point they were going to work on vaccines or whatever. And so far we don't have one, although we have, I think, seen some maybe drug applications that are somewhat effective in just helping people make it through. But anyway, getting deeper on the point. So so about 2 weeks later, starting on January 13th all the way through the 23rd, cases popped up in Thailand, Japan, South Korea, here in the U.S., Singapore, and then China shortly thereafter banned travel to and from Wuhan City, as well as several others in the area where they had breakouts. And then it wasn't a day after that, 25th of January, that they had new cases pop up in Australia, then Canada, then Nepal, then New Mexico, Sri Lanka, Germany, Cambodia. This thing is spreading like wildfire, even though it's not a lot of cases, not compared to the human population. It's just spreading across borders like madness.
Yeah, the infectivity rate, I guess, is that right? I don't know. Infectious rate, there's a word for it, and
yeah, they call it the R naught.
Yeah.
Yeah, how many people one person is likely to infect when they've got it?
Well, I've got it. I'm done. The infectious rate of this thing is massive. So, people do have a right to be scared of it, but we'll get more into that, too.
Yeah. So, on the 30th, at the end of the month, essentially, Russia closed its border with China, and then the next day, on the 31st, Mongolia, Singapore, they also closed their borders with China. And we got cases that popped up in UK and New Zealand. And then at that point, WHO, the World Health Organization, said, okay, this is an outbreak of international concern. It's a public health emergency.
Yep.
So, essentially a month after the first report, we had just under 10,000 cases, about 200 deaths, but it had spread to 25 countries already in that time, which is kind of crazy. After that, February was like a massive kickoff, right? We had Russia, Spain, Sweden, Malaysia, Belgium, Egypt, Iran, and several of its neighbors. It was a bunch of new cases all over the place, right? And then there was I just thought this was interesting. I threw it on here, but the Diamond Princess, right? That was the first cruise that they talked about where somebody got infected. Now, the first infections were reported on February 5th, which there were 10. 10 on a boat with about 4,000 people, right?
Right.
By the 26th, so it's 3 weeks later, there's 705 cases and 6 people dead.
Yep.
Now, what's relevant about that, at least in my mind, is that they were quarantined on that boat. It's not like they were all running around having a dance party together.
Yeah, they were stuck in
rooms.
rooms.
They were all stuck in their rooms. They were getting food delivered to them, and somehow 20%, a little more than 20% of everyone on that ship ended up with it. So, talking about social distancing, that they've been encouraging people to do and not to gather in large groups.
Yeah, I will say one of my pet peeves with everything the media does, and I know it's everybody in general nowadays, but I really can't stand like the little catchphrases and like the buzzwords that people use all the time. Social distancing, self-quarantine, be a hero, and self-quarantine. Shut up. I'm sorry. I hate that shit. But okay, good.
Yeah, it can be annoying.
But it's the only way to describe it, so I get it.
Social distancing was in Contagion. I rewatched Contagion yesterday just to like have it fresh in my head.
Yeah.
Since I remembered so many like similar things, and that was actually in that. That movie's from what, like 2011?
Something like that.
Like 9 or 10 years.
Little trivia for Contagion, and I think we discussed this in another episode. You remember that Gwyneth Paltrow dies in the movie?
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, sorry. And they have to cut her head open?
Yeah.
Do you remember? I think we covered this. I said when they cut her head open, the reason it looks so real, so much like her, is they used the mannequin head or the dummy head that they had created for the movie Seven.
Oh, really?
That's in the box that you never really see.
Oh.
Yeah. But they made it so lifelike in that box that they were like, well, let's use this. Because it was just sitting there in the prop room or whatever.
That's funny. People have compared this thing to other viruses, right? Say, is it really that bad? What about SARS? What about MERS? What about H1N1? Like, we've done all this stuff before, right? So, just as a point of note, by February 9th, which is, maybe 40 days after it kicked off, the cases were at about 37,500 with about 800 people dead. Now, SARS was a lot more deadly, but it only killed 774 people. So it was only deadly in the sense that it killed a lot more people that got it. I think the death rate on SARS was like 9.6% or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah, as opposed to this, which is like 3 point whatever. I don't know what the current number is. I think it was 3.4 last time I looked. But so, it passed the SARS death toll anyway. And,
right.
And again, SARS is not nearly as contagious. There was only like 8,000 cases in more than a year, and it only spread to 29 countries. So, that's that. And then literally the next day, it hit 41,000 cases, 900 deaths, which put it past MERS. Which again, MERS was even more deadly. It had about like a 36 maybe %. I'm trying to do this from memory, but 36% death rate or something like that. But again, there are very few infections. 2,500 people, and that was over a 7-year span.
Right. Yeah.
So
crazy.
So anyway, it surpassed those in the sense that it's killed a lot more people. I guess a lot more. It's killed a lot more people, but it's not. It isn't nearly as deadly in like a sense of infection to death, right? That's still a really low ratio with this one, unlike the other two. On February 11th, the WHO gave this thing the name COVID-19, which I think was the point that half the world realized that SARS and MERS and these other ones were also coronavirus.
Yeah, that was like, oh, yeah, it's the same thing.
And because there was a lot of people, you remember there was a meme running around. I saw it several times. It was a Lysol can.
Yeah, everyone was like, "What's everyone so worried about?" Yeah, it says right on Lysol that it kills coronavirus.
Like, this thing's been around forever. Well, and that's true. These are all, almost all these recent ones, save Ebola, have been coronavirus types of viruses. But they're all different. They all behave a little different. So
this is a variant on it.
Yeah. So then, I think I'll jump ahead. Right at the end of February, there was new cases in I don't even know how many, maybe 15 more countries. It was crazy. But at that point, so we're at the 2-month mark. 2 months since it happened, we got 86,000 cases now. That's more than 8 times as many as there was the end of the previous month, and there's 2,970 deaths, which is 18 times more people dead.
Right. Yeah.
So this is how it's sort of when I think the scare really ramped up, and a lot of countries started doing stuff. At the beginning of March, there was a bunch more countries that got their first cases, like Poland, Hungary, Bosnia. There was a ton of them, including like the Caribbean islands and just all kinds of different places, right? And then at first we had the Italy kickoff, which was big because it was spreading crazy fast there. So on the 8th of March, which was only like a week ago, a little over a week ago,
right?
Italy instituted a lockdown on the north part of the country because they already had like almost 6,000 cases there. It's the same day the U.S. military said no more travel to Italy and no more travel to South Korea, which is relevant because there's actually a lot of U.S. forces stationed there, and now it's sort of like cut off, don't go there, you're done. It's a pretty big move. So then we had a bunch more cases pop up over the next couple days. On the 11th of March, Italy took the lockdown across the entire country. They closed off bars, they closed off restaurants. They had something like 12,000 cases at that point, and a little over 800 deaths. And then that once that happened, then sort of everything sort of dominoed from there, right? You got lots of countries like Egypt deciding that they wanted to cut off all air travel. Every country around Iran pretty much banned travel from Iran. Saudi Arabia went on lockdown, and then when we started seeing it here, somewhere around that is when we really started seeing it here. We have school closures, which were all the way through the end of the month and are now, in fact, extended to
April 15th. Yep.
All the colleges here have
New York is actually scheduled to April 20th. So their kids go back to school on 4/20, which is ironic because I'm sure all those parents are going to be smoking pop at that point. So there you go. Now this is reminding me of, I know I mentioned this at work, and I think I mentioned it to you when we were bullshitting, but this reminds me of a mobile game that I played called Plague Incorporated. And essentially it's you develop a virus.
Oh, and you see how fast
you can make it take over the world.
You get to mutate it or something every once in a while.
And the best place to start is in China. And this thing is exactly like it. And then finally I saw one person posted a meme hey, whoever the fuck is playing Plague Incorporated on like Mega Hard, stop. You know, because it's legit. Like this is how it does it. Goes from China, it starts working its way around, and then nobody's talking to each other. They're all trying to do their own thing, and then finally they're going to start to work together to try to find a cure to stop you. But
yeah,
I don't know. We'll see.
So March 13th was the last WHO report I could find, which is a few days ago. But it was 132,750 cases and about 5,000 deaths, and it has spread at this point to 101 countries, which is, of course, half the countries in the world. Actually, a little more than that.
Yeah.
Depending on
this is a little crazy. This
So,
is getting really fucking bad.
World Health Organization said, okay, it's a pandemic now. And then, everything that's happened since has been nutty, and that's kind of what we want to talk about at some point.
Yeah, why it shows like I don't know. I don't know. It just shows like what you see in movies. On one hand, is true, but on the other hand, it's fact. What is it? True life is way weirder than fiction sometimes. Yeah. And that's what we're going through right now. So I guess we can.
So WHO also switched their. China was the original outbreak, and that was the epicenter of the disease. But they went like extreme lockdown measures. Keeping people from even like moving outside of their city. I mean, we're talking like, quarantine in place, don't go anywhere.
Italy?
No, I'm talking about China. Yeah. So that has apparently been at least somewhat effective. Again, if you believe the numbers, I know some people don't believe that China's numbers, but I think for about 4 consecutive days now, they've had more recoveries than they had new cases. Yeah,
our governor today, when he was talking, said that the numbers coming out of China are a little. What did he call them? I forget what he called them, but it was like basically shit all over China.
Yeah,
I was like, dude.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say what they really do and what they really know, to be honest, because I don't think they have quite the reach that like the CDC does to get in there and try to figure out numbers and things.
Right.
But who knows? That's just me speculating. I don't know for sure.
I don't know.
But yeah, so here we are. It's St. Patty's Day, as you said. Across the U.S., I suppose we're now not supposed to gather in groups of any larger than 10, right?
Yeah,
that's the recommendation.
Yeah, 10 or under
for at least
for now.
15 days.
If it goes any lower, bigger families are going to be fucked. Anyone with like 6 or more kids are just hosed, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, people that go on travel are being recommended to stay at home for 2 weeks.
Yeah, they've shut down everything.
Restaurants here, anyway, are at half capacity. In some places, like my home state of Illinois, they're completely closed, except for delivery service and pickup.
Yep.
It's
getting bad.
No alcohol sales here. That's all cut off. No bars, no nightclubs.
Yeah. All the bars are done. Dude. Well, and here's the thing too, because the first thing that happened, and we'll try to keep this podcast as least political as possible, but the first thing that happens around here, and it's all over this country, when things start to look a little sketchy, people start to go into panic mode. Down here, it's perfect example is every time we have a hurricane coming in, people run out and buy all the bread and milk. Mm-hmm. And then they gas up. Lines for gas are outrageous, and it's a pain in the ass. So that happens every year, at least twice for a hurricane or some shit like that, right? A bad one's going to come through and you got to get locked down. Now you've got something that's going all over the country, and it's in different spots of the country. So you got it on the West Coast, East Coast, here and there, whatever. And something, I'm not going to quote Bill Burr verbatim, but what I heard on his podcast from yesterday was funny as shit. He was basically saying like how everybody over on like that coast over there, he's like, you got all liberals or whatever, and he's like, he says he's a liberal too, but whatever. That you've got the good and bad that I agree with, or you got the good on either side that I agree with, right? Because I'm kind of right down the middle. I'm liberal in some areas, I'm conservative in others, right? But then you've got the real fuckwads, right? You got these people who are like, everyone should be free to do what they want and blah, 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 and everyone take care of each other and love each other until the shit goes down. And then they're fucking hoarding everything, right? And that's what he said. He was like, you lying motherfuckers. He's like, the truth comes out, doesn't it? I was like, holy shit, it's the funniest thing in the world. But this is what you learn the truth about people. People, especially Americans, are petty, violent little shits that will just, they need to take care of themselves as quick as fucking possible. Perfect example. Why the fuck is there no toilet paper anywhere?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I've been trying to figure this out. We're probably gonna jump ahead and go backwards, but
yeah. You want to get into the movies then, and then we'll start jumping into more complaints about what our country is doing?
So,
okay.
This was just a handful of movies that I guess
we had come up with.
Yeah, we came up with that we think are sort of maybe pseudo-good examples of the kind of stuff that's going on, but also worth watching, I think.
Yeah.
Just as a general...
Not just any old...
but so, the first one, the one that's at the top of the list, just because it's so similar, is Contagion from 2011 with Matt Damon, Kate Winslet, Jude Law, and Gwyneth Paltrow. There is a coronavirus-like virus.
You're having an issue.
I know, that's a lot.
Did you say Jude Wall?
I did say Jude Wall.
Okay.
I do.
That's a new one.
Last names backwards, first names forwards. Yeah, Jude Law. It's like a coronavirus type of virus that comes out. It starts in a bat and transfers to a pig.
Yeah.
And then into humans.
So close.
Yeah.
Pangolin, pig, they got it wrrong.
Yeah. The epicenter is East Asia in that. I don't remember if it was China specifically or not, but...
I bet it was. I'd have to go back and watch it.
And then it just spreads from there like wildfire, and it's people flying around and touching things, and the movie makes a point to like show.
They keep saying, "Stop touching your face." There's one line in there like, "Brian, quit touching your face," or whatever the fuck it is. Yeah.
Yeah, and she makes a point of that in one of the meetings at the very early. Kate Winslet's, god damn, Kate Winslet character makes a point about that in the beginning. And she says something like, people touch their face like 300 times a day. And everybody's like, what? No, they don't. And she's like, yeah, you do.
Yeah, you do. Perfect example here. All right, well, we can cut back and forth from fact to fiction. Here, when that one woman was up there, it became a meme instantly, right?
Yeah,
when she was up there talking about how you can help control the virus. And she says, what you really definitely need to do is not touch your eyes, nose, mouth, face at all. And then she licks her finger and turns the page of the report.
And I noticed too, rewatching that a couple times because it made me laugh. The woman standing right behind her, right when she says "Don't touch your face," she's doing that.
She's wiping her face. Yeah. So I reposted that on my Facebook and I just said, "We're doomed. We're fucked."
Yeah. Another one was Outbreak, which is probably a little less realistic, but.
So Dustin Hoffman?
Yeah, it's Dustin Hoffman and Rene Russo and Morgan Freeman is in that, and Donald Sutherland. Donald Sutherland plays the dickwad. Anyway.
Right.
Actually, Cuba Gooding Jr. is in that. Dude, I am not...
You're all right. Keep drinking.
Yeah.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
I haven't even really started.
I know.
Ridiculous. Cuba Gooding Jr., Patrick Dempsey, Kevin Spacey. That's like an Ebola-like virus, though. That's like sort of nasty and gets transferred from a monkey to a person. And then they try to lock down this town in Africa or whatever, and it's too late.
Yeah.
I don't know if that one's quite as realistic, and it's quite a bit older. That was from '95.
Yeah, but it's a good movie.
It's still worth watching. Next one I had on the list here is World War Z with Brad Pitt. Now, of course, this is a zombie movie, but
yes.
It really shows like a global sort of outbreak and how globalization is like influencing that, and it's spreading everywhere, and like how countries react, which is kind of amusing, and as a point I'll get into in a minute, because there's something from that movie that made me laugh because
the book is incredible.
I haven't read the book.
Yeah, read the book. It's good.
The
movie's good, but the book is way much better. There you go. I'm helping you.
Yep.
So conveniently, since schools are closed, we're going to be homeschooling our kids.
Yeah.
So they're all going to be fucking illiterate.
This is an L. It makes the W sound. The Walking Dead TV series, which I think you can watch the entire thing of right now on streaming.
Yeah.
But, so that started like 10 years ago. Are they on the 9th, 10th season?
Something like that. 9 or 10 now, I forget. And they're in the Whisperer War in the middle of it, and it's pretty good. They're doing a really good job with it.
That is, of course, again, another zombie virus outbreak thing. But, conceptually, it's very similar. How people would react post-apocalypse. kind of thing. So I think that's
you all may want to pay attention to those movies too,
Yeah.
because if this thing takes one more mutation,
yeah.
I could get what I want.
So there's sort of like a couple subgenres in this, right? So you've got the actual virus movies,
right,
which almost always end in a positive way after something, and then you've got
somebody does something amazing.
And you've got sort of the ridiculous pandemic movies where the world is over and it's about how people are trying to recover after the fact.
Yeah.
So we've got both on the list here, but in any case, I think most of these are worth seeing. Going back, this is probably the oldest one on the list, but The Stand.
Yeah, Stephen King.
Molly Ringwald. Yep, of course, Stephen King. And that is also a global pandemic. This is one of those post ones, sort of. This one's actually interesting.
It starts at the very outbreak because it literally starts immediately in the outbreak. Or there. All right, this is going to get into the conspiracy theory too. Conspiracy theory, but where I'm joking around about whether or not it's actually man-made, and I'm sure it is. We'll get into that later. In The Stand, this thing is man-made. They call it Captain Trips. It's a super flu virus, right? Very similar to what we're dealing with now. Only the death rate is a lot more. Yeah. A lot more. It's like immediate and it's pretty immediate. It winds up in like about within anywhere between like a half an hour to it's a few hours you're dead because it takes a little while to get into your system. Then you just can't cough up any more phlegm and you just clog, you die. But it basically it's in a research facility. It gets out in the facility, starts killing people, and one security guard realizes what's going on and makes a break for it so he can go to be with his family. But he's already infected. And he runs out of the facility, drives out of the facility right as the gates are shutting. But he doesn't know he's infected, so he runs, grabs his family, tries to get them the fuck out of town. And that's when he winds up running into some of the main characters in the movie and the book by crashing into a gas station because he's at the last stages of this disease. He's spread the virus everywhere. Everywhere he's gone, touched something, just like this thing. People will get infected with it. They touch something, somebody else goes and touches it, and it's got a transfer rate of 2.5. That's this one, the coronavirus.
Oh, the coronavirus.
Coronavirus is a 2.5.
Oh, yeah, I don't remember what
it's like that's the last one I heard was
probably close.
So like for perfect example is like if I've got it, by the time I show symptoms and I realize I've got it, I've already infected 2.5 people. And that's average. I mean, I'm sure it'd be depending on your activity rate or whatever, it'd be higher.
You going to work and shit, you're infecting like 10 people.
Oh yeah, so yeah. Right, yeah. Everybody else staying home. I'm not going to name any names because I don't. I mean, I do like the people I work with and whatever. So I'm not. I can't remember if I've ever named where I work. I'm just going to say, I work somewhere where it's needed. We have to be somewhere, to support something. But they should be minimizing the crew even more than they're doing already. Yeah. Because like right now they're doing a lot of telecommuting from like a lot of people working from home on computers that can. And those of us that can't, because I'm in logistics, so I'm moving material. I can't. I'm there. But it's going to come down to it where we're going to shut down. I know we are, because everything's shut down. Walt Disney World shut down. Yeah. Well, I guess we'll get into that too, because it's all that's just epic. We can get into that after the movies.
Yeah, all right. We'll get past this. So, The Stand is a little bit of a supernatural one in the end, I guess. I'm going to say spoiler alert. This movie's 25 years old. But
they're remaking it.
Oh, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know that. But, there's sort of I guess it ends up where the remaining people in the world are sort of bifurcated into a good and evil kind of group, with like one with the benevolent sort of leader. Anyway, I don't want to say too much, but it's got a different take on it anyway.
It definitely takes a turn.
Yeah. Shortly after The Stand was released, 12 Monkeys came out, which had Bruce Willis and Brad Pitt in it. Again, that one's interesting because it's time traveling and it's set in the future, but they've got to go. Well, Bruce Willis, has to go back in time because there was a plague that basically bogged down everything in the world, and they don't know where it came from. It was a man-made plague, and we're going to talk about man-made plague themes, I'm sure. But that's where this movie goes, and he's trying to figure out where it came from, and hopefully they can find a cure and save the future world. Right? There's a lot of weirdness to this movie that I won't get into, but it is quite interesting, and Brad Pitt does a wonderful job playing whacked out crazy dude.
Yeah, he does a really good job.
Not that he didn't do well in Fight Club, because that also
right.
Well,
But this one he does a really good job. It's especially for a time travel type of movie. Mm-hmm. It works really well.
There's really not a ton of focus on the time travel, but when he does go to the future, man, is it freaking weird. It's almost like what's that like young teen novel series, Catching Fire, and I can't think of the name. Hunger Games.
Mockingbird.
Yeah. When they go to the future in Hunger Games, they are in the future. The way the people are like dressed and stuff in the city, looking all weird. That's what 12 Monkeys reminds me of.
Yes.
When they go into the future, it's all kind of like bizarro and strange. There's a little bit of that in Snowpiercer too, if you ever saw that, where like everybody thinks they're the last people on Earth on that train.
Yes. Yeah. I remember that one.
It's interesting. Anyway, so what else we got on the list? I Am Legend with Will Smith. That is also a pseudo-zombie vampire. We have talked about this on the podcast before because this deviates dramatically from the book. And I think we both wish they would have kept that ending where... Well, I can't say. No, I say? Because it's not a spoiler alert, is it?
For a book... Well,
it's a spoiler alert for the book.
How many of our fans are really reading? Well, you know what? If we get quarantined, you got plenty of fucking time to read.
I mean, even then, the book is 15 years old, so we're gonna say spoiler alert for I Am Legend.
Yeah, fuck
skip ahead 15 seconds here, but
yeah. So in the movie, he's like, "I can save you. I've got a cure for it," and these things are attacking him because he's got one of their own. Like he's got like the leader's wife or whatever, and they don't want to hear it. They're just gonna attack him and kill him. So he sends the girl and the boy, or the woman and the boy, off with the cure to try, to survive and to go. And he winds up blowing himself up with these things. They go off and bring the cure to this location, right? But in the book, the reason it's called I Am Legend, is that he finds out that he's actually a legend among this vampiric, zombie-like creature. Like all these creatures, they talk about him because all they know is it's like this thing that's out there killing their people.
Yeah, so but instead of being the thing that goes thump in the night, it's the thing that goes thump in the day.
Right, basically, yeah. And he learns that he is this legend among their people that's just fucking taking them out. Yeah. And it's kind of right. It's interesting. It's a good take.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, he ends up as the inadvertent bad guy. Like, oh, all these people think I'm just murdering them while they're sleeping.
Yeah.
Interesting. A couple others on the list. Children of Men, which had Julianne Moore and Clive Owen. That's where a virus inhibits man's ability to reproduce. But then, the movie sort of starts off, or shortly after it starts off, with a woman that's pregnant. And he, somehow miraculously she's pregnant. And he has to escort her. And I won't say any more than that.
Right.
And then the last one I have on here, I actually haven't seen, but I've got it on my queue to watch.
Me too.
Watch it tonight. Carriers. So this has Chris Pine and Piper Perabo.
I love her.
Yeah. I think anybody that's seen
Coyote Ugly.
Yeah,
you're welcome.
Probably the same. But this one is also about a virus outbreak, but it's my understanding that they hint towards it being like a zombie sort of thing in nature, but you don't see that in the movie. It's just a hint.
Right.
And so there's something more to it, and, they sort of realize that while they're fleeing the pandemic that, they're more dangerous than the actual virus is. And so I really want to see that one. I know it didn't get super great reviews, but I want to see it anyway.
Right.
All right, so moving along. We want to talk about how on or off the mark these movies are.
Compared to what we're dealing with now, basically.
But before we get there, I think we want to talk about Disney. Disney has closed, I think I read 7 times in history.
Yeah, like Heather knows of 4 times is what happened, right? So let's see. Today is Tuesday, the 17th. So last Thursday, we had gone out to Walmart, Heather and I, because the plan was the kids were going on spring break. She was taking Noah and Mika to Tennessee to go visit her cousin. And they were going to go hang out, whatever. They were like getting an Airbnb with a couple of the neighbors for a couple of days. And then they were going to go over to Nashville to go visit her cousin, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we were like, well, let's go to Walmart because we need one or two things. And I was going to be home with Jessie. And we just like because she had school, right? She's in college. Her spring break was finishing. Well, while we went there, that was already when people were already talking. Now, we already have supplies. Just by luck, we had literally just done a good grocery shopping thing. And so my wife stocks up on a lot of shit. And she buys stuff like toilet paper, paper towels, yada, yada, in bulk, right? So most of that shit we didn't need. But we were like, well, let's get snacks for the road. We were going to get her windshield wipers, but that's the one thing we totally forgot. So maybe I'll pick those up tomorrow on my way home. Because it's been a week and we fucking forgot. But we go there and she said, well, let me get this vitamin that I need. And we go to the pharmacy side and she laughs out loud. I look at her and there's no immune boosters left. They're all gone, right? So all the smart people have been there already. They got that shit. So then we go around the way and paper products, toilet paper, paper towels, napkins, wipes, sanitary, all that shit, right? And then bleach and most cleaning products are all gone.
Lysol sprays and
all of it gone, right? The shelves are bare. And most of the water gone. And we start looking at each other like, oh. And I walked by a dude in the paper aisle, and he looked at me, and he laughed nervously, And I was like, hey, whatever you do, don't cough, sneeze, or fart in this fucking place, because we'll start a riot. He started laughing. He was like, no kidding. So we kind of like keep going. We'll go through like some of the food aisles, and because here, like she's starting to put a couple of things here and there in the cart now. She's like, shit's getting weird, right? People are just weird. Nobody's acting like they're panicking. They're all walking around, but shit's not on the shelves anymore. And I know it's at nighttime too, so it was like they hadn't restocked yet. But when we got to the food aisles, all the ramen noodles except for the chili flavor, because nobody likes those, they were all gone. And she was like, oh shit, really? Mm-hmm. And like canned goods, a lot of them are gone, right? So she said, a few boxes of pasta in there, right? And I started laughing because then her phone goes off and it's news. It says Walt Disneyland in California shuts down for 2 weeks. And she looked at me and she goes, Disneyland just shut down for 2 weeks. I said, get the fuck out of here. I said, no, I'm dead serious. She showed me. And she grabbed like 3 extra boxes of pasta and a couple more things of sauce. Right? She's like, and I said, you're turning into one of the sheeple. And she said, no, I'm not. She got mad. She's like, no, I'm not. Because what's happening is all these fucking people are panicking and they're buying all this shit up. And then us, who are already prepared, when I need a few odds and ends to cook, when we do get stuck, I'm not going to be able to do it. So she's like, now this became a full-blown like shopping trip. Yeah. We bought everything we were going to buy, right? My father was supposed to be flying in Friday, right? This Friday. That's got to be you. Hello, Moto. Sorry. You're good. My father was supposed to be flying in 2 days to come see my uncle and everything. We're going to hang out. And we were buying a brisket and stuff for stromboli, jambalaya, and all kinds of shit. And so we have this full cart now. It was like, we'll just buy it all now so we're prepped for when he gets here. And while we're standing in the line, my phone rings, and this is my father. And he says, hey, I'm not going to be able to take this flight because of this whole virus thing. Right. He's like, I'm just going to have to reschedule. I'm getting my a refund for a later flight. It's good for a year voucher. So I said, all right, well, I know it sucks. I was looking forward to seeing you, but whatever. So we hang up, and Heather looks at the fucking brisket and all this other shit in the cart, and she's like, you know what, fuck it. We'll just buy it. She thought about it. Thought about putting it back. She's like, I'm not putting this shit back. You know what? No. So we get home. By the time we get home, put everything away, boom, Disney World shut down for 2 weeks. We were like, that's when Heather goes, now I might be panicking a little bit because that shit does not happen. It's happened 4 times that I know of. One was 9/11. You know, once for a hurricane, and that was like last minute where even you and Becca were out there hanging out.
Yep.
Right? So they left Friday morning while I was at work because I was convinced if Disney World shuts down, I'm like, by Sunday, I'm not going to work, right? So they left Friday while I was at work, and we were all talking about it at work. I'm like, they're going to shut us down, or at least like go to minimal staff or whatever, something, right? So Heather leaves, whatever, come home. By the time she got with the neighbors up to Tennessee, to like Chattanooga, because they were looking online. Everything said it was open. Everything they wanted to do was open. By the time they fucking got there, everything is shut down. So they were like, well, this is bullshit. So Airbnb, you know, there you go. Good company. I'll give you some praise. I don't know anything about it. I've never stayed in one. We were going to a while back, and we didn't.
We've used them quite a bit.
Yeah. Well, they did good. They said, look, hey, we're going to refund like most of the money. They refunded these guys, right? So then my neighbors went on to wherever they were going to family, and Heather took the kids to family. Well, I spent like 2 days with her cousin and was like, I'm coming home. This whole trip has just been fucked, and I'm sorry I spent all the money driving around doing whatever. Because nothing's open up there either. They went to the mall and whatever. So they came home Sunday around 3 a.m, going into Monday, and I still hadn't gotten any word, so I went to work. I'm still at work. But now we're getting progressively worse. Where vendors and shit, people are just, everyone's closing. Everything's closing. So I'm pretty sure we're about to go into lockdown for the whole fucking country.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this state will really institute a full lockdown, but I'm sure many will.
You think it's going to go state by state, or you think it's going to be full? Because a lot of states have activated the National Guard.
It's more city by city than it is state by state. I mean, I'm sure some states will do it, but the thing is, where there's low population density, it's not really that big of a deal. Honestly, I mean, if you look at something like New York, where there's like 20,000 people per square mile. Yeah, okay, I understand why they're looking at a lockdown. Yeah, like you literally can't walk across the street without coming in contact with 10 people. Right.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
But if you live in a rural community, you know, somewhere like
all those flyover states,
50 people per square mile. I mean.
All the flyover states with the people. You
barely see your neighbor. I mean,
with all the preppers that are ready for this shit.
Yeah. So, you know, I don't know. I could see it would make more sense to do it on sort of a individual level and say, okay, if San Francisco wants to do it, and San Diego, and Los Angeles, and New York, okay, great. Chicago, maybe that makes sense for them.
I would agree.
But do it a place like where we live here. I mean, I know Orlando is big and there's millions of people here, but it is not dense.
No,
it's not dense. So, I don't know. I hope they don't do any broad, countrywide sort of stay in your home. And this will be a talking point because I'm not even sure that they could really do that here in the U.S. I know some countries might be capable, but I'm not even sure they could enforce it.
Well, and yes. You want to save that one?
Yeah, I want to save that one.
Okay.
Because I'll give you a quick... You gave me your
story. We'll bring that up on the rear end.
You gave me your story, so I'll give you mine, just to sort of lead into why are we talking about these points and how far off the mark are these movies and things, right?
Because I haven't even gotten into that yet.
Yeah, so I was actually at a conference. The last day of the conference got canceled. Was this last week? I don't even know what day it is.
Yeah,
last week. Yeah, so I was
Tuesday.
at a conference. The last day of the conference got canceled. I was in D.C., and the D.C. mayor said, hey, no more gatherings of 250 or more. And, of course, there's several thousand people at this thing. So that was it. It was over. So I flew back early. I got home Thursday. Actually, before I even got home, I stopped at the grocery store because I figured I'd come back early. I might as well grab some stuff. You know, Becca probably doesn't have like dinner stuff ready or whatever. You know, so I stopped at the grocery store. Everything was fine. It really was not a big deal.
Yeah.
You know, I grabbed some things for a couple days, thought nothing of it, went home. Great, fine. Then on Saturday, I'm out of stuff again. Got to go back. Holy shit! Like
because now to give a little background for you cook fresh. Yeah, fruits and vegetables or whatever. You cook fresh every day, whatever. I mean, like not that Heather doesn't cook.
6 days a week.
Yeah. So you buy your shit like frequently.
Yeah. I go to the store every.
Heather will go every few weeks, and then she cooks like that. But yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't think anything of it. I bought a couple days worth of stuff. Went home fine. Saturday I went back because I need more stuff. You know, and again, I just buy small amounts when I need it. It's not really a big deal. But I get in there and I'm like, God damn, potatoes are gone. Pasta's gone. Rice is gone. most of the seafood is gone. The meat has like the expensive shit, right? You know, none of the cheap like ground beef is sitting in there. They got brisket and baby back ribs.
Right. And
I'm like, okay, well, it's not the end of the world. I mean, I guess I'll just eat really good this week. So, you know, I got some frozen scallops, and I got some beef brisket. I got some New York strip steaks. You know, okay, fine. You know, but I couldn't get any of the like side staples, and then I hit the paper aisle, and I was like, Jesus Christ, man! Like, it is desolated. There is nothing. There is not one roll of toilet paper, or paper towel. And so then I go over to the milk freezer. Milk's all gone. No, there's no milk left. I'm like, oh, okay, fine. So I get what I can. You know, hodgepodge. Go to the register, and of course, you know, it's obligatory. I don't blame them, but the lady at the register says, you know, did you find everything you need? And I'm like, yeah, I'm laughing. I'm like, no.
No.
And she's like, what didn't you find? And I'm like, everything. Oh, yeah. So I had taken pictures of the aisles when I was going through, just to like show Becca or whatever. Mm-hmm. I ended up posting them on Facebook, and that's another conversation we'll have. But, you know, I showed her the picture. I'm like, well, I couldn't find pasta. I couldn't find rice. I couldn't find potatoes. Like, I basically have meat here, and
I'm not going to the carnivore diet. I'm not going to keto. Yeah,
I got meat and vegetables. Meat and vegetables they have. So green vegetables, because nobody wants to eat them apparently. But so anyway, I check out. You know, she tells me, you know, oh well, we got trucks coming in the next day or two. You know, it should be fine. So, okay, fine. Right. So next day, Sunday, I go back to the store. Actually, a lot of stuff was restocked. There was potatoes there. The seafood counter was restocked. They were still pretty short on meat. But there was some pasta. There was some rice. I was able to get like arborio and basmati rice, whatever. There was milk. Okay, fine. Still no toilet paper. Still no paper towels. But it is what it is. And I ended up popping over to Walgreens to see if they had paper towels and toilet paper. Nope. Gone. Yeah. But the thing that cracked me up.
Oh, that's when you posted that. I about pissed my pants.
Yeah. I'm walking through there, and all the cleaning supplies are cleaned out. And I noticed, like, because it's right by it, all the, like, smelly good candles and stuff are gone. And then I get up to the register. Every single lighter has been purchased out of the giant big thing that has like 500 lighters in it. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Like, people are prepping for a hurricane? They prepping for a virus?
Well, that's just it. Down here, they only know how to prep for hurricanes. So they're buying, they say, okay, stock up on supplies. They immediately go into hurricane mode.
I guess. So it was really weird.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so
people were buying generators. Fucking generators. And toilet paper. Dude, it's not like the coronavirus is standing outside the fucking road on 429 going, nope, the trucks are coming.
Yeah. It is really...
The driver might have coronavirus, but the trucks are coming.
It was really bizarre. So that was my experience. And then a friend of mine, I saw he posted on Facebook, he went to the store to get some stuff, right? And things are very low. Mm-hmm. You know, like there's stuff there. There's some canned goods and whatever. And, you know, he said there's several people there in the aisle, and he's looking around and he's thinking to himself, basically, you know, like, well, I'm going to be fucked next time I come back here. I better grab some stuff. And he starts grabbing it, and then he realizes the people around him are responding to that. And they start grabbing stuff, and they're sort of looking at each other like, we're all fucking idiots, but we got to do this.
Yeah. It was legit idiocracy.
Yeah. So they're just feeding off each other, like panic buying shit. He's not even a panic kind of guy, but just sort of got into that mindset of, shit, there's not very much left. I better grab something. And as soon as he started like putting shit in his cart, you know, like other people are like, oh fuck, now there's even less. I better grab something. You know, so
right.
So I guess that's where we're at. So I guess story's over. I don't know. We wasted 30 minutes on that, but story's over. So now we get into this. How does this play out in these movies? And of course, these are done for dramatic effect, and they skip a lot of things, right? But,
right.
There are also things they put in there which I think are something you'll never see. I'm just unrealistic. But let's start. So. Temperature checks and scans at airports. Now, they do that in Contagion, and they do that in I Am Legend too, when they're showing the backstory of how it all came. I mean, that is actually happening right now. They are literally checking people, like screening people at the airport to see if they have symptoms and stuff. Apparently, the TSA has the capacity for that. Now, there's a question of whether they did have the capacity for that 10 years ago when this movie was made. But anyway, so I guess that's
someone saw it, was like, "Oh, that might be a good idea."
Yeah, I guess that's a real thing. Viruses passing from animals to humans, that's also in Contagion. That's also an outbreak. We obviously know that can happen. That happens in real life.
Yep.
Now,
and no, AIDS did not come with someone fucking a monkey. But although, the image of some dude running through the jungle with a fucking heart on, trying to catch a monkey, is amazing. But go ahead.
I don't know if it's amazing, but it's something.
It's something.
So in Walking Dead in particular, when they're doing the backstory thing on that, the CDC has some sort of like artificial intelligence that like can like follow the virus, map the virus through the human brain or whatever. So I read an article specifically about this thing from a CDC doctor. They don't have artificial intelligence, but they do have computer models where they attempt to model how things are going to spread around. They do a bunch of different iterations. They can change different variables to see how things change based on how many people do you allow to move around and where, and what do you block off, and that kind of stuff, right? So so there's no artificial intelligence, but there is computer modeling to sort of figure that out on a broader level.
Well, conveniently, as we get into this, there's no real intelligence either. You'll see that more and more.
Yeah. The next one I had was containment of threats using the military. Okay, so as you pointed out, some states have decided to call up their National Guard to assist in things. Now, are they calling them up to do quarantines, though? Because in Contagion, one of the first things that happens after the outbreak, Matt Damon and his daughter try to go across the state border and... Well, it's not Matt Damon, but you know what I mean. They try to go across the state border, and there's the National Guard there like, no, you may not cross.
Right.
Now, to me, at least to me, this seems impossible, at least here in the United States. For one, there are no border crossing points other than the few places
there are roads. If you have a welcome center or something, right?
Yeah.
Is that where you were going?
Places that have like hard entry points by way of geography. Say like we have to build a bridge. Washington D.C. might be a great example. Right. You have to build bridges across waterways, so there's like certain choke points you can have. Fine, okay, but
like Staten Island could blow up all their bridges.
Yeah, exactly. Staten Island, great.
Fuck Jersey, fuck Brooklyn.
That would probably work. But as a state, like no way. There are literally hundreds of fuck the interstate. State routes, interstates, back roads. There is no way in hell.
You can drive from one field to another and be in a different state in some of these places.
The whole National Guard of almost every state, they don't even have enough people to put one on every road and stop somebody. You know, it's just impossible.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
You couldn't do it. So there's no way you can lock down state to state here.
And we'll get into that more later too.
You could protect the borders, and I'm
from
sure
the other side of it.
Yeah. And I'm sure there are places on this earth, there are countries that do have the ability to do that. When China said they were locking down Wuhan, though, and again, this is just going back to when they said they were going to lock down Wuhan, as soon as they made that announcement, I mean, before they could even get there and establish control points, half the people left. Like, fuck this. I'm not being trapped here by the military. Mm-hmm. So even on that level, even if you've got enough actual military people to go set up all these checkpoints and borders, you really still can't control people to that level. You can't.
Yeah, no, there's no way we'd be able to do it.
And you can't keep it a secret that you're coming to block off a city, which happens in a lot of Contagion movies. Like they're just there. Yeah, they just show up with helicopters and trucks,
barbed wire, and all this other shit. Like, how the fuck do they? Yeah,
no.
They pull around the corner. They pull around from the corner from like a town that they've lived in their whole goddamn lives, come around a road they know, and all of a sudden the road is blocked off and they can't get out?
Yeah. No.
Shut the fuck up.
Seriously. Like, as soon as one truck showed up, Betty would tell Sally, who, the whole town would be like, fuck this.
It makes great theatrics, but wow, it's not happening.
Yeah, I don't see that happening anyway.
Which is why I think if this thing mutates into a zombie apocalypse, we are fucked. Most of you would be useless. I said this last night to Eric when we were talking, but then I changed my mind and I said no. Actually, I think most of you would be useful. You'd be getting bit while people like me and Eric were grabbing bug out bags and getting our families the fuck out of here.
Yeah, but then the bait becomes a zombie. So
yeah, but as long as we can get off to a good shelter somewhere, we can fight them off.
Panic buying and over-the-top prepping. Obviously, we just both told stories about that, so that is real, and I don't think they probably go far enough in a lot of these movies showing what people will do, because people are dumb. And I think this is a good moment to go talk about media and social media and how it drives that shit. Because one thing that's missing in a lot of these movies is that social media factor.
Yes.
I
would love to see that.
Shown. Yeah.
Everybody fucking panicking and hyping up everybody else, and it's a monster that feeds on itself.
Yeah. And so back to my story earlier, when I took pictures of that shelf, I ended up posting them on Facebook. I had told Becca
Fed that monster.
I told Becca the day prior, really, it's not that the media is hyping up this thing. It's that every third post on my Facebook page is empty shelves at a store. And that just makes other people more scared. Like, oh shit, I gotta go to the store, you know? And so...
I think you even said something like, I shouldn't post this, but...
Yeah. And, she said something to me, and I was like, well, there's nothing to buy anyway, so no harm. No, but it's true, though. You get that feeling, because even if you think you're doing it in a way that would be understanding to people, like, oh, fucking shelves are empty. They say the truck's coming tomorrow. There's still going to be all those people who look at it and say, okay, that's the fifth empty shelf post I saw today. Fuck that. I'm going to the store right now.
And I'm buying everything. Everything. Yeah. And again, now here's specifically though, the hoard buying. Can we break down the toilet paper issue?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
I don't know.
Okay, all right, here. And because everyone's buying toilet paper, you cannot find a fucking roll anywhere. People are selling it online, and now, granted, Amazon, eBay, all of them are like cracking down on these assholes that are price gouging on dumb shit like that. Mm-hmm. Right? In fact, we can get into that one asshole in Georgia.
I thought it was Tennessee. Is it Georgia?
No, I think it's Georgia.
About all the hand sanitizer?
Yes, yeah, I thought it was Georgia. It's Matt and Noah, and I don't know their last name, but they're brothers. But I'll find it. We'll post the fucking thing, just because assholes like this need to be put out there. And so now he's got over 17,000 bottles of hand sanitizer. They've drove all over the place, out of their state too, just to collect this shit when this thing happened. And now they've got it all in a garage, and they can't sell it quick enough. They can't sell it at all now because they've been shut down. But people are buying this fucking toilet paper, trying to resell it, do whatever, stocking it for their family. Granted, we had a good amount here at the house because we had just gone shopping. And for us, it was one of those, like when Heather buys, she buys the same amount every time. And maybe like, okay, the downstairs bathroom had a 6-pack of toilet paper sitting under the sink, and she forgot about it, so she puts another one under there. So we do have some, there's a little bit left there. You can try to find me, I'll shoot your ass. But even she was like, just if you see any, just grab some, just in case, because who the fuck knows the way people are buying this shit, But then we were all trying to talk about, like, why the fuck are people buying toilet paper? And Heather came up, Heather's one of the smartest people I know. There you go. You can all comment somewhere that I told you all that my wife is brilliant. Win me some kudos or whatever. She said the only theory she can come up with, and it makes sense to me because it's the only one that works here, is that people are seeing that most of our supplies are coming from China. If China's the main source of this outbreak and shit starts slowing down, like we start stopping shipments or whatever, or they start closing down shipments, we're going to start running out of shit. So basics like toilet paper, and then all it takes is one or two people, like you said, with your friend. I'm going to grab 4 or 5 packs of toilet paper. Now everyone's grabbing 4 or 5 packs because it's like, why are we doing this? We don't know. Herd mentality. Everybody grab it.
Yeah. So
they all run away with a cottonelle, and now no one's got fucking toilet paper. So I think she's right. I think that's the only way, because I can't figure out, and I'm not a smart guy, but I can't figure out any other way why it makes sense for people to be buying toilet paper unless they thought the supply was going to drop, and then they wouldn't be able to wipe their ass.
Yeah, I mean, and for what it's worth, I mean, we have a fairly free capitalist economy here. Businesses are free to produce more toilet paper, and they're going to meet the demand. And at some point, it'll be ridiculous, I'm sure. But that does take, whatever, it takes days at least.
Yeah. But now on the flip side of that, if we're getting a lot of these supplies from China, like we all know we are, a lot of things they make. I know, but from on a broader scale, maybe like an epidemic like this should encourage more politicians to push for more American-made products. Oh, stimulate our own economy a little bit.
Well, I don't doubt it will. But yeah, I don't want to dive too far into this.
Yeah, we're getting into the politics pretty deep today.
It's gonna get dangerous.
But although I did see a funny meme, just so I'm not always attacking the left, because I do tend to do that a lot, just because a lot of people are irrational. I saw a meme today that was funny as fuck. They said Trump's going to go down in history as the president that was so full of shit the entire country ran out of toilet paper. I about died. I was like, that's the best fucking meme ever.
Speaking of full of shit, you remind me of a story I read on a website that had me cracking up. Now, this happened in Australia, which apparently has the same problem of people buying up all the fucking toilet paper. So this woman went.
Yes.
You saw this? Ordered.
Yeah, go ahead.
She thought she was ordering 48 rolls of toilet paper, and just to be even more funny, the company that she ordered from is called Who Gives a Crap. Just sell toilet paper. But anyway, she thought she was ordering 48 rolls, but what she had in fact ordered is a bulk buy, like, pallet with 48 boxes of toilet paper. Yes. So this was in Queensland. So it says that she ended up with 2,304 rolls of toilet paper. But so this is the weird part about this, right? If you order 48 rolls, like, how much do you think that would cost? 48 rolls of toilet paper? I mean, it's a lot of toilet paper, but it's not that much. I mean,
48 rolls was like $10, $50. I don't know.
It's probably more than that, but I wouldn't expect it to be very much, right? And she apparently didn't go look at her credit card. I have a really hard time with this. Like, you order something online, it says the price to you before you click purchase, right? But apparently she didn't know what happened, and then when she got delivered pallets of fucking toilet paper, she went back and looked at her credit card statement, and she had paid $3,264 for this toilet paper. Like, oh, you just missed that, huh? And so she went and sold this off, and I guess with the profits, they donated it to the daughter's school or something. That's nice. But anyway.
Well, when I was a young logistics specialist in the Navy, very young, like my first year, I was working at a squadron, and I actually did the same thing. Didn't look at the unit of issue, and I ordered, like, we had canopy wipes, the paper towels, but used to clean the canopies of the helicopters. I ordered like that, like multiple pallets of this shit. We had thousands and thousands and thousands of these things came in, and my work center soup was just laughing his ass off. He was like, "We'll fix it. It's okay." I just remember I came in to work the next day, like the day it arrived. So it was, again, the order. I didn't look at it. I just punched it in. We were doing it all. You order it online, whatever, through the system that they had there, Nalcomas, I think it was. And I wasn't looking at the unit of issue and put it in. And then I came in the next day it arrived to go to work, and there were just boxes and boxes, and like you said, like boxes like bigger than the table, right, higher than the table, and those are filled with like long tissue box looking things, right, full, right. So these things are just tremendous all over the place. Going down the hallway, and he's just standing there looking at me, shaking his head, and he's like, "You did it." I was like, "What?" He's like, "You missed the unit of issue on this one." I was like, "Shut up." He's like, "Oh yeah, come here." He was like, "Come on." So I had to go apologize to our maintenance master chief and shit. He just.
Do they let you return him in those scenarios?
Yeah, they fixed it. It's just like he shook his head. They were all just laughing at me. They were like, "Keep so many of them," and then like we gave them away to like other squadrons and shit. Like, just here, Merry Christmas. Our new guy fucked up, so yeah, I did that. Wasn't as funny as when I was getting ready to leave that squadron, and I was a third-class petty officer, and we had a new girl working there, and she fucked up a national stock number in the order.
Uh-huh.
So instead of ordering like some part for the aircraft, she ordered a goddamn cotton candy machine, but like a cotton candy machine, like the size of this fucking table. This thing was gigantic. It was like half cotton candy and half popcorn, whatever. Like this whole, I forget what the fuck this thing was, but it was for like a circus. I mean, it was for like entertainment shit.
Why the hell is there an innocent for that?
I don't know, but she got it. Yeah, I forget how the fuck she got it ordered, but she ordered it, and everybody was like, "This trumps the canopy wipes because at least we could use those." Like, what the fuck are we gonna do with this?
Make popcorn and
Yeah, that had to go back.
Um,
Yeah, joys of supply.
Yeah. All right. So panic buying, over the top prepping, ridiculous ordering. That's obviously a real thing. I don't even think they go far enough in movies to show how stupid people would be with it.
Not the way we've been dealing with people.
No. So I'm giving them
a lot of you motherfuckers are dumb.
I'm giving them a negative mark on that, just for not going far enough with how ridiculous people can be. So globalization increases the spread of the virus has been a theme of particularly World War Z. It was a big theme of that movie, right?
Yep.
The first thing that Brad Pitt does is goes to Israel in search of a cure, right? The funny part about that is, and we have real world example right now, Israel is closing its fucking borders and you're not coming in.
Yep.
And so I don't think in today's world with just the coronavirus, fuck a zombie outbreak, with the coronavirus, he wouldn't even have probably got into Israel.
No, not at all.
So it's a little amusing to see how that actually played out. Israel went fairly protectionist, and they blocked travel from Germany, France, Spain, Austria, Switzerland.
Oh yeah. Oh, and that's a country, like, you even sneeze now, they're going to shoot your ass. And right before you get shot, you'll be like, it's not even a symptom. Doesn't matter.
But yeah, so certainly the globalization is a factor, right? This virus went to 101 countries inside of 2 months, so...
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it definitely matters that people can travel all around the world pretty much freely whenever they want. Yeah, it definitely helps spread viruses. All right, so next one we're going to jump into is about gasoline. Okay, and in a lot of movies that are post-apocalyptic, any of the Mad Max franchise, The Walking Dead,
they're still doing it like 10 years into the.
So they could be a decade in, or in some cases multiple decades in.
Mm-hmm.
And they're sucking gas out of cars, and they're driving around vehicles that are freaking 100 years old or whatever.
Right.
Sorry, but there's no chance of this. So the kind of gasoline that most people use, let's not talk about diesel quite yet, but the kind of gasoline that most people use, it's super refined. Like, if you leave that sitting in a container that's not airtight, like a gas tank in a car, for two years, I mean, it's useless. It's useless. It's completely garbage. It's not worth anything. Everything is going to evaporate as fumes. It's going to break down, and you can't.
You're going to be back on horses.
For anybody that's left gas in their garage in a container for too long, and then try to put it in your lawnmower, it doesn't fucking work.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I've done it. I will do something with the like the Walking Dead show now. They're not really driving around in cars anymore because they've jumped ahead so much that they've actually taken that into consideration.
Have they?
Yeah, and there was actually a scene where they had two horses pulling like the ass end of a station wagon, and they were using it as like a cart kind of thing because it had decent tires on it or whatever. So they just like cut it apart and used the ass end of a station wagon to like carry people. It was weird.
All right.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I said too.
Well, I suppose that's realistic then. So I mean, Walking Dead is not a decade after it happened, so it's probably sensible.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it is a decade that it's been running, but I'm not sure if a decade has actually passed.
Yeah, kind of is weird. I forget the timeline that they have on there,
but I'm glad to see they address that because most is like fucking Mad Max. Forget about it. That doesn't exist. Nope,
yeah, no.
Sorry. Waterworld. Nope. Sorry.
Yep.
Sorry. Just no. You'd have to find something else. You better figure out a way to refine it or start using animals or bikes or some shit.
Yeah.
Because you're not.
Your leg muscles are going to be amazing.
All right. The next thing we have on the list is about, let's call them existential threats outside of the virus, right? In most cases, in most of these movies, with a couple exceptions, give it to Contagion, but zombies, there's aliens, there's robots, there's cannibalistic, murderous, psychopathic neighbors.
Right, which like shows like The Walking Dead or whatever, they try to key in that those interactions are more dangerous than even the zombies. And
yeah, and I think when we did the zombies,
some of them are cool as far as for a show.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
No, it's a good concept for a story, but I think the reality is probably far, far different than that. So, I mean, just going down a list of concepts, right? There are nuclear power plants all over the place, right?
Yep.
If they were literally abandoned, like truly abandoned,
just sitting there,
everybody is fucked because they're not going to just continue running for the next 10 years. Maybe some of them will automatically safely shut down and nothing bad will happen, but I think likelihood is that you're going to have several disasters going on there. I mean, if people just disappeared like a Thanos snap, or there's a zombie outbreak and people abandon.
Or The Stand, where a whole bunch of people died like that quick. Yeah.
There's just no way.
Because they died fast. Yeah. It was in a matter of like a couple months that everybody was dead.
Yeah. So just as a point of reference, the EPA sets up what they call environmental protection zones. These are sort of like radiuses around nuclear plants that are say, if this plant melts down, you need to be outside of this zone or you're eventually going to die.
Right.
Literally a third of the United States population lives in one of those zones. And they probably don't even know it. Honestly, most people probably have no idea that they even live inside that zone.
I can honestly say I have no idea how close the closest anything nuclear is here.
I don't either here. No. I mean, I knew back home, but that's because we had a nuclear power plant not far from us.
Right. Yeah.
And you could swim in the lake that was used for the cooling water. We always used to make jokes about three-eyed fish and stuff, although we never saw it.
Right.
But yeah, I mean that's honestly, there's so many other threats besides aliens and zombies that are gonna fuck with people. I mean, you look at industrial like locations too, right? Where you could say oil refinery, gas refinery, any of that stuff. But even just places that do like sort of chemical processes, manufacture chemicals, right? There are tanks full of dangerous shit. Dozens of times a year we have accidents where something blows up or something leaks out, right? Imagine what's going to happen when nobody's manning these things 24/7, where nobody's monitoring them,
Well, there is a thing in The Stand, too, that's very similar to where, like, after a while all the power shuts off, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So then what they do is they have, they secure an area where they're going to live, and they finally get the power up and running because they've gotten all this new copper wire and whatever, blah, 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 right? To get these generators running for the power plant for the city. And they when they get it running, the shit blows, right? And then they realize, oh shit, all these people dropped dead with all this shit running.
With their lights on and all
so they were like, well, we had a turn on crew for the power plant. We have to have a turn off crew to go around and shut everybody's shit off. You got toasters, and they say, even like Stephen King mentions in the book, where they had to fight like 5 fires in houses from like toaster ovens or whatever turning on, and then doing whatever. So it was kind of interesting. Good.
Okay, so the other piece of this is sort of the healthcare and medication aspect of it, right? Which is a longer conversation, but imagine how many people are not making it if they don't have insulin, blood pressure medication, heart medication, whatever it is,
Yeah.
So many people are
absolutely
relying on that. The only reason people live till 80 now is because they have access to all this shit, right? And you can't go to a doctor. And that brings me to a whole nother...
It's going to be another conspiracy theory, too. Yeah. I got a bunch of them at the end of the show.
So that brings me to a whole other thing, which is about people's health, right? I think that's... Again, the virus is the least of their worries, because if everything's sort of fucked and you don't have like a sort of like a variety of food to eat and all, I mean, imagine all the things that are going to pop back, like scurvy and gout and like shit you don't even think about, right?
Well, it's funny, now you're talking about like something like where shit's been abandoned for a while and nobody's doing whatever, right? But I told Heather just now, not just now, but I mean like just like over the weekend when everything was gone, I was like, you know what? This probably would have been This is a perfect example of why we should have learned how to garden better and put one in the backyard, because we have the room for it. And we debated doing it at some point, putting a garden back there, and we haven't yet.
Yeah.
Well, it's coming. Because I don't think this is going to be the last one of these fucking things that comes around. Because we're going to get into those conspiracy theories.
You're not panic buying, but you're panic growing.
That's right. That's right.
Panic growing.
Panic growing. It's typically what happens to me. There go the sponsors. Took an hour and a half this time. All right.
Yeah. But you know, there's a general health thing. Like, no matter where you live, we get a whole bunch of varieties of food. And great, we're here in Florida. We can grow oranges and shit, and maybe we don't have to worry about scurvy. But
right.
Imagine most of the other country. Where are they getting their citrus from? You know, this is a simple thing that is not even
all these shipping lines back and forth. They're gonna shut the fuck down. Yeah, I get it. Yeah,
they're not gonna exist. So you know, again, the virus, even the virus itself, may not be the worst of your worries if something like this were to go prolonged for several years or whatever.
Yep.
So I think they probably missed the mark on that in movies and in shows, and especially people looking as healthy as they do. I mean, they're always dirty and sort of grimy. Not always, but you know what I mean. They're usually dirty and grimy and sort of, but they're missing the other part, which is like, why is this guy all muscular? Like, no.
Right. Well, and that's something we were going to get into, like the lingering questions, I guess.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
We'll get there. We'll do all the conspiracy theories and lingering questions. I really only have one more thing in movies to talk about, which is, are other humans really worse than the virus? And we talked about it a little already. And to some extent, you look at how people are assholes, hoarding things, and you say, yes, fuck people, they're worse than the virus. And in this case, that might be true. But I think if you had a real, true, like, outbreak, pandemic sort of thing in the world, I'm not so sure that people would be that way.
Well, like, take 9/11, for example.
Yes, exactly.
That's where you have to go, right? Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead, yeah.
You had where, again, everyone, us New Yorkers, we have a reputation for being dicks. I mean, like, I pride myself on being an asshole, but I mean, I actually, I'm an asshole who cares, Yeah. But, and that's New York overall. You have this gruff exterior, no, don't fucking look at me when you're walking down the street, what the fuck's wrong with you, and that's life in New York. You're busy, everyone's go, stop looking at me, leave me alone, don't talk to me, right? So you get this attitude of nobody's gonna fucking help or care, but when 9/11 happened, conspiracies be damned, whatever. Okay, planes flew into buildings, people were dying, and the people that were there were helping each other constantly. Business owners handing out water, trying to help people get a hold of their loved ones, all kinds of shit. And it showed the real side of Americans, because a lot of Americans started like just shipping shit to try to help, or whatever. It was a whole country effort. The country came together, which is, sad when you go back from now and you look back at the bond that everyone had there for a little while. It was a good little while to now where everybody constantly fucking hates each other. And it's just pathetic. It's like, again, goes back to what I always say. Can't you just fucking be good? Just be good to each other. What's the big deal? But I agree with you. I think, in the long run with this stuff, like, perfect example, Heather and I have a friend who doesn't think they were exposed to this, but they thought they were showing symptoms, so she was kind of stuck at home, but she orders a lot of her food through the internet, like one of those delivery services. But because everybody's out of shit, she can't get a lot of shit. So while Heather was out today, she was going around picking up a couple of things, and she texted her and was like, what are you missing? So she told her, and she's like, well, I can't find toilet paper, so good luck there. Take a shower. I don't know. But Heather bought a bunch of stuff for her and brought it to her house and, like, texted her, like, LOL, I'm not coming in. I'm just going to leave this on the porch, and then her friend was like, thanks, But, you've got people like my wife who, and she said it today. She said, when it came to that, she's like, I just felt like, there's so much shit in the world. She's like, I want to do something. And, yeah, it's one of our friends, but she's like, even anybody, I want, she's like, I want to do more to help people. Which gets into another thing that just happened yesterday, right? One of the things we wanted to do to help people was like when we took on Mika, our foreign exchange student, right? And everybody knows that because we've talked about them, all the foreign exchange students, repeatedly on this podcast. Eric and I pull back the curtain a little bit. We're going to record yesterday. He was here last night. We literally got 10 minutes into this fucking podcast, and my wife came in with a look on her face that it looked like someone died. So I was like, oh, hang on, Eric, stop talking. Because we were literally in the middle of introducing this entire segment. And she said she had gotten an email from the company that does this exchange shit that all the students were getting sent home, like ASAP. So there's been a lot of back and forth between... so basically we decided we were going to shut down the podcast for yesterday and do it tonight. We wound up sitting there, talking with Mika, whatever, Heather cried a little bit, Mika cried a little bit, whatever. But we kind of basically got down to the Chinese government side wasn't quite hearing all of this, and we're hearing this, but whatever. But there was an email. So it does look like they're getting sent back home, and we can get into more of those conspiracies later too, why everything's going on the way it is. But you got all these kids that came here for an education that are now getting sent home because of this shit, and
yeah, and it's a strange thing too because at least for them, certainly being Chinese exchange students, they got to be at more risk back home.
That's what I'm saying, and they don't want them to fly back there now, especially because you've got cross contamination now.
Yeah.
Now, China's the one spot that's actually starting to get some type of grasp on this damn thing, and you're gonna send a bunch of new people over there from a country that's not quite got it down yet.
Mm-hmm.
So you're gonna fuck it all up. But yeah, I don't know. So it's rough. I don't know. We're still kind of waiting on official word on what we're doing or when she's flying out. The last couple of times we heard anything, they are still flying them out of here, but nothing's official yet. So it's really weird. We'll see. But I don't know what the fuck's going on with that. It's stupid though, because you're already postponing schools and everything. And here, so we'll get into this theory of mine. You're postponing school classes until April 15th. This kid has taken SATs and whatever. She's gotten accepted into 3 colleges in the States. So she does want to go to college here, right? Yeah. When this first thing started in China, we were joking around, remember? That this kid might just be living with me until she goes to college. Yeah. We were joking about it. And, well, we were all set for that. But now they're like, no, everyone's got to leave. But why? Because like you said, now you can expose them to whatever. They have to stay quarantined over there for 2 weeks when they get there. It's not like they can just go home. Yeah. They got to be quarantined. My theory is, because like me, if it was just the company that was doing it, Heather and I were going to tell them, keep your fucking money. She'll just stay here. Let her wrap up these, whatever bullshit she's supposed to have to do in order to graduate, because it can't be much if she's already been accepted to colleges, right? Wrap it up, and then we'll get her to college when she's ready to go. It'd be a bitch that she couldn't see her family for a little while, but she'll see them, And her family wants her to stay here and do what she's going to do, because she wants to go to college here. So on that side, it was fine. But then we started hearing it was the State Department that was pushing this. And we can get the whole podcast shut down. It's going to be great. In 4 years, someone from the State Department is going to listen to this and be like, shut it down. So if it's the State Department, my only theory is that because of the way shit's going, you've had, we said, Disney World and all this other shit is starting to shut down, right? They're looking at activating National Guard and this and that, right? If they send all these foreign exchange students home, that's less people that they have to worry about taking care of here. Yeah. They're not responsible for it. Right before what? Shut down.
Yeah. So definitely other countries have done a bit of that already.
Yep.
It's an obvious thing to do when you're in a stress mode to sort of send back your non-resident, non-citizen people to wherever the hell they came from, right?
Yes.
And it's not necessarily an easy thing to do, though. How do you make sense of it? I think for the U.S., it's pretty easy. We just revoke student visas, we revoke work visas, go home.
Yeah, and then that's what they're doing.
Anymore. Yeah.
And it's fucked up, but that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I do get it from a certain standpoint. Just from a military mindset, I get it. You want to take care of your own again, which is what I've preached for a while. But, I don't know. It's just, it's fucked up. And that's from a personal standpoint because, the kid's been living with me for months. Yep. So, but yes. So I'm going to more and more people doing things for people.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
like
So
what
I
we
think,
did for her. When,
yeah, what I wanted to say was 9/11 is a great example, but in general, it seems like people are more inclined. In fact, it doesn't even seem like there have been studies on this. Social cohesion is stronger in the face of a disaster.
yes.
That's always been the case. There's earthquakes, there's hurricanes, communities come together, they help each other.
No, I think some of these movies do show it. As far as like, especially like the zombies, like Walking Dead, Dawn of the Dead, that kind of thing. You see people that don't even know each other helping each other out. There is definitely like once they become groups again.
Yeah.
Which see, groups of people suck. That's what happens.
Well, so
individuals are okay. It's groups of people that are fucking dicks.
I mean, we've obviously never had a true apocalypse scenario to decide whether people would really act that way. But I would submit to you that societies didn't exist when humans started, right? So they decided to make them at some point in the absence of all control. They just decided to come together in groups. So I think that's sort of the natural way people want to be. And yes, there may be introverted hoarders and murderous sociopaths, but I think in comparison to the movies, it's a lot smaller.
I would agree. People are a lot better than...
And those are the guys that are going to get dragged out of their house by the 15 neighbors who banded together and beat to death. Not that that's a good thing, but I'm just saying that's...
Yeah, but if once you start weeding out the assholes, which I might be in trouble. But
I mean, I think...
I'm not that kind of asshole, though.
A Wild West sort of lawless people getting punished for not being part of the group than you are just a general, like, everybody wants to kill each other and stuff.
Right. This whole group of cannibals happen to get together. And
exactly.
Like, really? That's what happened?
Yeah, I just don't. I don't think that would happen. I don't think history has shown that would happen.
I don't think so either. Sense. I would agree with you. I think for the most part, people are good, no matter what media wants us to believe, okay? Whether it be social media, the news media, or movies and TV, whatever. I think for the most part, humanity, even Americans, are good.
Well, I mean, this is relatively... I realize the outpouring, the media sensation, the CDC lockdown sort of... It's all very extreme, but I mean, it still feels like a mild thing that's happening to me. But even in that situation, we live in the same neighborhood. For anybody that doesn't know, we've got people on our neighborhood Facebook page saying, "Oh, you're just coming back out of town, or your trip got canceled. If you need food, let me know."
Yes, our neighborhood is very much like that.
And then people were like, "Oh, well, the kids are going to get bored. They got nothing to do. Let's create a scavenger hunt where you don't have to be in a group or see or talk to each other."
Right? Yeah,
so then got kids painting or coloring
shamrocks
and sticking them up in the window or on your door or on your mailbox or whatever.
Yeah.
And then other kids can go around and do a scavenger hunt. They never have to interact with anybody. They don't have to touch the other kids. But you've got sort of a cohesive community weird thing going on, right?
Yeah, because that's our neighborhood. We've been like that for the whole 4 years I've been here, and it's amazing. But yes, you're going to get that everywhere.
My point
you can get there everywhere. People are generally
it's not
like that.
Broad. Like the state of Florida is not going to come together and say, "Yeah, we belong together. Everybody help each other." But local neighborhoods,
no, because Florida man is a bitch.
But local communities are going to help each other, and I don't think there's going to be any of this crazy looting, rioting, everybody's shit's thrown out on the street stuff that we've seen. Even in Contagion, which is mild in comparison to a zombie outbreak movie. Even that happens there. There's garbage on the streets. There's people's clothes thrown everywhere. There's cars like...
Yeah, you're not going to find that.
I don't think that's going to happen.
No.
All right, so what do we do?
Just stay off of OBT.
Conspiracy, you want to do conspiracy theories?
Yeah, let's go into conspiracy theories. That'd be fun.
All right, so this is only addressed in a couple movies, but the big one to start with is Government Made It.
Yeah.
Or somebody.
And you know what? There's a part of me that would firmly believe this. Now, again, I'm not the smartest guy in the world, right? But here's why I would believe. There's a rumor out there that whatever this facility in Wuhan was, it was specializing in chemical warfare, blah, 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 right? Germ warfare, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was backed by the American government. So I joked around, and I even told you this earlier in the week, I think, that we're talking at work, and my lead and I are both like, you know what? Right before this thing broke out, like it was all over the news like crazy. So it was like December, January timeframe. Our entire warehouse went down with symptoms very similar to this thing, right? I was the first one, so I'm patient 0. And I dropped hard. I had like 103, 104 fever for like a full day. Right? Shit was bad. I was like, Heather jokes around. She's like, you had a cold. I'm like, fuck you. But we passed it around. It was very like contagious, right? Boom, boom, boom. Everybody got it. And then a couple of us went down a second time for like a day or whatever. And then we kicked it. And then shortly after that, there was all this coronavirus, blah, 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 right? COVID-19 in Wuhan. Yeah. And then the rumor that it was started by Americans and Chinese together. And we were joking around at work. I said, you know what? I said, how about, I bet we actually fucking had it. And we caught it. Could be like, from somebody on the street or whatever, right? Not showing any symptoms. But we caught it like they were sending a vial of this shit that was made in China back to America. And they like came through like MCO airport or whatever, right? Came through Orlando airport. And here the fuck we are. We get hit with it. And we're like, hey, you know what? So that would lend some credence to the theory that it's made by Americans and Chinese. Okay,
well,
so there you go.
So playing off that too, you remember this could have been more than 3 or 4 days ago, where China said that the U.S. was responsible for for starting this disease. Yeah,
they're like, oh, we can play this game too, fuckers. Yeah. You did it.
Truth be told, I don't believe any of it. I think it came from an animal to another animal to a human makes perfect sense. I would believe it. Yeah, I'm down for that. That's not to say that the government hasn't engineered. I don't know this for a fact.
We've got a lot of shit somewhere.
I don't know this for a fact. I've never witnessed anything. My time in the military, I never knew anything about this. So I'm not saying anything is fact. It's just me speculating. But I think our government and probably many others have likely enginered viruses.
All kinds of shit.
Or other biological weapons. I don't doubt that for a minute. But they leaked out into society and...
Yeah, maybe not, right? Yeah. But all right, here, take things like flamethrowers in Vietnam and like mustard gas when we were in all this shit that they're like, this is what you have to be afraid of, and it was like it was a huge fear that this was going to happen. They drop this shit on you, you burn it to death, whatever, And do you really think in the years, because I'm retired now for 5 fucking years, you really think they stopped? No. Because the last ones I heard of was like 10 years ago. No, they didn't stop this shit. They just started making cooler shit.
There's probably some truth to that. Even if
I'm waiting for the nanobites.
Even if our government doesn't do it themselves, I wouldn't be surprised to find out that they paid $1 billion to a private lab to do some crazy shit.
In another country. Yeah. Yup. Yeah. The Elon Musk of... Cambodia, yeah, some weird shit, yeah. Sorry, Elon Musk, don't come get me.
I saw him at part of the conference. I tell you that?
No.
Yeah, he was the keynote speaker at the beginning of the conference that I went to in DC.
Oh wow.
He was a weird character. He was almost it's totally off topic. Sorry, but
you're good.
He's almost he seems almost autistic in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Like so the format.
A lot of the really smart ones are quirky.
The format of this was
like you.
What like me? Go fuck yourself. The format of this was it was a moderator, basically a interviewer asking questions, and then Elon. And so he had prearranged questions to ask him, and then after a while, they allowed the audience to ask a handful of questions. And so it's all sort of, it's in a big room. There's several thousand people in there, and it was standing room only. A lot of people wanted to hear him talk. Because he's disruptive in our industry and space. So,
a little bit.
Yeah. So
sending cars and shit.
they've got cameras in the back, and they're sort of like zoomed in on him and the moderator, and they're both blown up on a giant screen. So I can see him, but I can't see his facial expressions and stuff from where I'm at. But on the screen, I can see him perfectly. Like his head is 10 feet tall or whatever. Yeah, right. So anyway, the moderator's asking him questions, every single question. Elon will look at the guy when he's asking the question, but then when he answers, I mean, his eyes are like up in the air and off to the side. And
yeah. Okay, yeah.
Sometimes he doesn't even answer the question the guy asked, or at least not directly.
But like socially awkward to a point where you think, yeah.
But he was also incredibly matter-of-fact about things in a way that was, at a couple points, like, probably offensive to the people that ask questions.
Our oldest is like that, and even Heather has said later on, more recently, I guess is a better term for it, that she thinks maybe he's somewhere like on a very functioning, on that spectrum. But he's always been very socially awkward and just very unique. Yeah, I mean, you've met him, so yeah, he's definitely like that.
Yeah, there was a point at a college student. I don't know what she's in, some kind of program where they're doing what the fuck do they call those things? Internship or whatever.
Internship, yeah.
She's asking Elon Musk about education. You know, like, oh, what do you see value in education? You know, it's sort of like, I'm a student at blah, blah, blah. You know, what do you think about education? And, I mean, he almost doesn't even hesitate. And he's like, I'm not sure if it's worth anything. You know, and he went to college, of course, but he starts naming off like multiple people on his staff, like top level, like management stuff, and he's
with
like,
no education.
Yeah, he's like, Jeff dropped out of college. You know, he's just like naming like a list off on this stuff, you know, and he's like, so I don't think there's any value in it. You know, it's kind of like,
amazing.
He said something.
Every
else.
college is puckered up, like, what the fuck?
Well, and he's saying this to a student too, like he doesn't. Like, surely there's a better way to do that. Like,
right. There's more tact.
You know, to say like, oh, well, you know, I purposely hired people that, you know, were sort of like mavericks and dropped out and had different ideas about what they... But it was just sort of like, yeah, I don't think there's any value in it. And this is coming from a guy that got a bachelor's and a master's. Mm-hmm. It's not like he didn't go to college, but I'm just saying, like, you know, all the people. Anyway, I'm way off target here, but Elon Musk was a very interesting character. I'll just say that. He said a lot of things that were just incredibly matter of fact in a way that was almost offensive, I'm sure, to some people.
Oh yeah, that's amazing. All right, so another conspiracy theory. What do you think? What do you got?
Where were we? We were talking about conspiracy theory.
I said our government made it.
Oh, government made it.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
I'm trying to think because we popped on a couple of them, and I should have wrote them down as we were going.
Or some secret lab, but I think the next one is not that the government made it, but that they're exploiting the situation. Right?
Yeah.
So that one.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. You reminded me of something that I heard today, but yeah, go ahead.
Well, I just said that one is almost somewhat realistic that people are gonna put a political spin on the situation.
Yes, because it's all definitely against one side and for the other. And,
and as much as possible, they definitely do that. And again, I don't want to get political on anything here, but I mean, there's definitely a sense of you didn't do enough.
Yeah. How
come you're doing that? Why didn't you do this? It's just sort of like back and forth of. There's nothing else to say but politicizing the event. Yes.
Yeah. Another one I heard today at work, and it made me laugh, but it made so much sense. And I'm going to try to remember it because it was brief, the conversation. And it would have something to do with maybe it being made to do this, or it's a happy little accident and they're letting it play out kind of thing. But it's one of those, like, okay, who's it attacking? The older and immune deficient, right? So if we let it kill off a bunch of the older, then the government doesn't have to pay out Social Security as much. You heard that too, right?
I didn't hear that. Okay. But I actually jokingly said that to somebody yesterday.
And then by the time we're up for it, they'll have...
And I'm like, so what I said was, Social Security is going to be insolvent like somewhere around 2032 or so, right?
Yep. Well,
this is a way
COVID-19
make
fixes
that extend much longer.
Yeah.
I'm laughing, but I don't mean to laugh. It's just...
Yeah, we're laughing. It's more of a nervous laughter because there is... While at the most point, or I would say most of me is like, no, it's bullshit. Just like when people do the 9/11 conspiracy theories, right? We talk about all kinds of conspiracy theories on this podcast. At my heart, I want to believe everybody's good and whatever. But when it comes to governments and people in control, I don't trust that shit at all. And I could easily go down the rabbit hole of wholeheartedly believing that they do this shit on purpose. I could.
So,
like, oh, okay, how are we going to manipulate this? Let's say this, and whoop, oh shit, this disease is out there. It's killing all these old people. What the fuck are we going to do? They're going to die.
So I'll say this for that conspiracy theory at least. There are about 60 million people drawing from Social Security right now. At the death rate this thing has, you would literally have to kill off... the entire population would have to get it, and then you would still only reduce your Social Security rolls by 10%.
Right. Yeah. So again, like I said...
Some of it's kind of
bullshit, but you know what? Hey,
and you look at the controls that the federal government's put in place, which are inclined to protect the elderly. It's like there's just no way. There's just no way that's.
Yeah, it's not working. I mean, they're trying to like you've got stores trying to set up specific hours that the elderly can go shop at, which is awesome. By the way, going back to our people are typically good.
Yeah. It's
That's
nice
a good thing.
Although I'm not sure that they should even be in the store. They should probably
they should. We need to set up your delivery system where people are just okay. Who needs what? I mean, your towns can do it. Like we can do it here in this neighborhood, like you were saying. Probably post on there, and it has already been. Like, who does anyone need someone to go shopping for them? Whatever somebody in the neighborhood has already done that. Again, I've been working, so I really don't. I'm not home to do it, but if they shut me down and I'm home, then yeah, I'm going to post on there too. Like, who needs help, whatever, So in between of me catching up on movies I haven't seen in like 5 years. So if I can fit you in that half an hour window, you're golden.
Yeah, it's probably one of the best things to do right now is catch up on movies you haven't seen.
Yeah, play with your kids. Actually fucking talk to them. You'd be surprised. Okay. They shut down...
Why make me look bad?
Not you. But one of my other favorite memes, Heather posted it because it was for one of our friends down the street. But because everyone's like panicking because all the sports are shut down now. Mm-hmm. Right? And it's like, day 3 without sports. Found a lady sitting on my couch. Apparently I'm married to her. She seems nice. Yeah, I love that one. It was like, yeah. That's pretty much life.
Or the other one your wife posted was, she told me her favorite color is yellow.
Who likes fucking yellow? Had to talk to my wife. She told me her favorite color is yellow. Who fucking likes yellow? Yeah. That was amazing. She's got a lot of good ones. There's a reason I married her.
All right, so I guess let's finish the conspiracy theory section of this.
Yeah, no shit.
And we need to finish this whole thing because it's taking too long. But
yeah, we're almost at 2 hours.
Are we really?
Yeah, 1:45.
So let's finish the conspiracy theory. Jesus.
Let's finish the conspiracy.
Yeah.
Apparently, that's the first stage of it. We're fucked. Well, let's finish the conspiracy theory with.
What are we going to finish it with? No, I'm just kidding. That this is all sort of government mind control nonsense. Like, they're trying to get the sheeple ready for the sacrifice or something. Come on.
Yeah. That was I've seen that posted.
I understand.
Look how quick the government can control you, and what now you've just given them more power. And, oh my god,
this is a plan to put in place like martial law, kind of. They can control everything in your life. Like,
and that'll lead us into my theory of what's going to happen in this country if they try that shit.
All right, let's do it.
So you have these countries like Italy and whatever who are like, okay, you have police driving around with like bullhorns. Get back in your house, or whatever that is in Italian. I don't know, whatever. And people go, oh, okay, yeah. And then they're all civilized, trying to do shit, right? Because they've been around for like hundreds of years more than us. Do that shit here.
Yeah. Okay.
Americans at their base, this country was founded on violence. Okay. And this is from a proud American who served 20 years in the military. I love this fucking country, but I know what we are. Okay. I am a realist, and you all need to fucking accept that we are violent fucking people. We took this goddamn country. We were what? We were colonists for another fucking group, and we said, you know what? Fuck you. We don't want your shit. And so after we took it from the first group that was here, we took it from them too. And we said, fuck you. Everything about us is war. We're a warlike people, to quote George Carlin. Right? Yeah. We love war. What's this other quote? And if your country's full of brown people, look the fuck out. We're fucked up. So we constantly fucking fight. Everybody, you watch anything in American news, these people are looking for a reason to riot. Elections, sports teams winning or losing, everybody's always rioting over shit. Yeah. You tell these motherfuckers, get in your house, holy shit.
Yeah, I'm not sure that they're looking for a reason so much, but again, social media factor, that shit gets pumped up, and then people are like, oh, wait a minute, no, this is fucking wrong. Yeah. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, then they get riled up, beating their chest, and
deal, yeah.
Next thing you know, they're out in the street starting shit, and I got to shoot somebody's fucking face off from my porch.
Yeah, and you know, I wasn't even going to bring this up, but just to get to the point, gun sales have surged and ammunition sales have surged in the U.S. Since this coronavirus thing was announced. I mean, like,
Heather and I just had our 50th anniversary. Guess what I get this? We're like, you know what? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, we're not gun nuts, but, you know, we appreciate being able to protect our house. That's all I'm saying.
People are spending several $1,000s on new firearms and weapons because I'm not sure what they're more afraid of, though. I don't know if they're afraid of the government trying to do something or if they're afraid that their neighbors are going to end up breaking into their house and stealing all their canned goods and toilet paper. Well,
yeah, I would say from from us, okay, for our standpoint, especially because, like you said, we're in a very good neighborhood, right? Yeah. Everybody looks out for each other, and we're fairly well-to-do here. I'm not, like, trying to brag about anything, but most of us are doing decent, right? We take care of our own. We band together when we have to. But, like, from our standpoint, when all this shit, when you're watching the media, and some of it is the media hype, but you're looking at all this shit, and everything's closing, everybody's fucking going nuts over dumb shit, we know how a lot of these people react, where people are just going to go fucking stupid. They're going to start doing shit to each other in the street, right? So I was fucking with Heather the other.
That's what people think anyway.
Yeah, I was messing with Heather yesterday after you left, and I scrolled through like Bass Pro Shop, like hey, look, shotguns, right? Because we've got here and there, right? But we've got just minimal shit here, just like to go to a range and shoot, right? That's about a handgun, whatever. She appreciates guns, and she likes to shoot, and she's a better shot than I am. But her main priority is like, well, I want to travel. I don't want to spend a few $100s on a gun. I want to do this, or I want to build a fence, or I want to do whatever, So it's not high on her priority list, right? Mm-hmm. Last night, after all this other bullshit, and everybody's talking about government shutdowns, I scrolled through that list on Bass Pro Shop, and I was like, hey, look at this shotgun, right? And she was like, okay, yeah. Yeah, so I'm like, it takes a fucking national pandemic for you to finally agree with me, okay? So I was like, look, all I want to do, I'm not talking like going like gun nuts that everybody complains about, like, going out and buying like 17 automatic, not assault rifles, assholes, there's no such thing, but like ARs or whatever, right? I'm talking about like buying a shotgun that I can use because Noah's getting older and wants to go. He's even expressed interest in fishing and hunting with his cousins. I don't have a weapon to hunt with him, right? I have a handgun. Let me get a shotgun that I can do both with, right? A little long barrel thing. I can home defense and I can, right, like that. And I told her, I'm like, you're a better shot than I am. It'll be fun for me and you to go to the range. And so we'll buy a shotgun and we'll buy you whatever you want. Because my gun, she doesn't like to shoot because it kicks like a fucking mule. If I hit you with this thing, you're just staying the fuck down. Right? that's all I'm going to say. And she doesn't like it. She's like, I shot a few guns with one of my friends, and we took yours. It was while I was on deployment a couple years, right before I retired. She took it with her because her friend's husband was going to clean it for me as a surprise. Whatever. Just help me take care of it because I was gone. And he was like, well, here, I've got some, ammunition that'll fit it. Go ahead and shoot it so you can save his, all right? Because I shoot hollow point. I'm taking your ass out. So she goes to shoot it, and she's like, yeah, I don't like your shit. She's like, it kicks. I'm like, oh, yeah, it does. It's loud. It kicks. Everyone's going to know you got shot. So I want to buy her something for her, and then I want to buy a shotgun. And we've got means to secure them or whatever, but it's just, it's not going crazy. at least for us. And I'm sure there are a lot of the crazy ones that are running around there doing that kind of shit. So, yeah, like we're going out, we're going to buy something this week together. Just
I wouldn't be surprised if one of my family members, not accidentally but purposefully, ordered a pallet of ammunition.
Right. Yeah, I'm not going that much. Yeah, I'm not going that crazy, but yeah, I'm getting into it, or at least enough just to. And it's not especially not for this neighborhood, but just if shit really got that bad, you know what I mean? If it got that bad, people do kind of wander back here to like try to have sex in the back of a car. They have. We've had to have the cops called on them because people like having sex right outside my house. And I'm like, you're literally on a street, you dumb motherfucker. But but like people do dumb shit in this vicinity, right? Because there's nothing behind us. So I guess they think it's like secluded back here, whatever. It's like the Wild West. I don't know. So just in case someone decides to try to creep back here and maybe break into my house, well, okay, you're going to get the business end of a shotgun. That's all. And that's the only, it's not losing my mind at all. Just try to be sensible.
All right. So
we are way.
In the interest of time, we were going to do lingering questions like shit they never answer in movies. I think we should just do one.
Okay.
One single one, and that's where do people shit after the apocalypse? Because I watch.
You've never seen anybody take a shit.
There's no running water. I think based on what I've seen in the past week, there ain't no fucking toilet paper. I mean,
no.
Maybe there's one house with 2,138 rolls in it, but they haven't found it yet.
Yeah.
So what are these people doing? Are they shitting in the woods and wiping with leaves?
They gotta be.
I mean, I'm not saying you need to address that and make it a point of a movie or anything.
Oh, because it also goes into that other one that I was talking about with like the clothes. Like they're always wearing the same clothes. Like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah,
like,
they never wash their clothes.
After a while, you're gonna get like rot on your skin from doing that.
Yeah, actually, I'm sure you and I both know if you
being on a deployment.
Yeah, if you're out in the field for a while and say you just don't even change your socks for like a couple days, your feet
foot rot
are disgusting. Trench foot, it's gross.
Yep. I gotta piss again. I can't even wait.
So,
hey, we're back. We had to pee. Okay. So we were right, kind of halfway in the middle of a lingering question about toilet paper and how people change their clothes and whatever. And that's kind of like one of those. Hey, pop on our website and let us know what your theory is how these fucking people handle this, because they never address it in the shows. But at this point, we can't remember where we fucking left off, and we're not going to rewind. So fuck it. We're not that kind of podcast. But like, I got up to go to the bathroom, and I opened the door to go into my house, and there's my wife and Eric's wife and our neighbor all standing there in bathing suits getting ready to go in the hot tub. And I'm like, hello, ladies. I'm like, Eric, I think we'll shut the podcast off. I don't know what's about to happen. So, yeah, apparently they decided it's coronavirus party night.
Coronavirus boogaloo.
Yeah, that's it. So they're all going to hang out in the hot tub, and we're like, all right, whatever. So, yeah, so then we talked to them for a few minutes and then came back out here, and we can't remember where the fuck we left off now because we've been talking about this shit for 2 hours. I'm going to edit this thing as quick as I can tonight and post it so that it can get out there. But you guys talk to us about this virus. I don't know what we could possibly post on our website. Aside, I mean, like, I don't know. I'm sure you'll come up with something. We can put something on the site and something on Facebook. Just kind of random discussion shit about it.
Yeah, we could do.
What are your fears? What do you really worry about? If you want to throw conspiracy theories, as long as you're nice, don't start fights because I'll delete your shit.
I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll do, in light of the coronavirus lockdown, here is a bunch of stuff you can stream and where you can find it.
There you go.
Movies.
That would be good.
That'll be part of our Geekly Weeklies at the end of our Geekly Weekly.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah,
Quarantine
so there we go.
streaming.
Quarantine streaming. I like it. Oh, trademark that. Thanks. I was going to say hashtag that. Trademark it. All right, so yeah, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to jump into Geekly Weekly next. So hit us up. Let us know what you guys are going to be doing or what you've experienced during this pandemic. And hey, look, good luck. Just everybody stay calm. Just fucking relax. Take a breather. Learn how to wipe your ass with less paper. I don't know.
and enjoy your 2 weeks, possibly 8 weeks at home, telecommuting.
Yeah.
And if you can do that.
Like I said right before we went to our pee break, hug your kids. Spend time with them. You'll be all right.
Hang
It'll
out
be
with
okay.
your family because it's like almost like an extra summer.
Yeah, you made little people. Enjoy them.
Where you can't go anywhere.
That's right. It's a vacation that it's an American staycation. I think that's what we're going to name this podcast. All right. Well, guys, hit us up. Let us know what you think. We'll talk to you soon. Check us out at whatifgeeks.com, whatifgeeks@gmail.com, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and all that shit. All right. Good night, Tony.
Good night, CDC.